This is a video review of Garrigun from the Brave of Gold, Goldran. This guy is a recolor of a figure from Transformers Zone named Sky Garry. And there's a bit of confusion about what these guys' names are actually supposed to be. Is Sky Garry and Garrigun, were those the intended names, or is that English? Because there's a case we made for it actually being Sky Garry and Garrigun, especially with what these guys do in their vehicle modes. So there's a bit of confusion there. Personally, I like the name Sky Gantry and Garrigun, because Gantry is only a syllable away from Garry, so it's not out of the question, although it's not as likely as Garry. Either way, I'll be calling him Garrigun because that's how everyone knows him, and I do like that name. It is a cool name. Now moving on, when you get Garrigun, you get a ton of accessories. You get 2 guns. You get 3 cargo cars. They can open. And there's supposed to be something here where you press this down and it'll launch something out, like I think that little guy right there. The gimmick seems to be neutered on these ones, because when I look inside, I don't see any mechanism that would shoot anything out. Then you get these little very rubbery guys that look like Gundams. Then you get this guy who is like a Micromaster. I think that's what it's called. They had tiny G1 figures that you just flip their legs down to transform. I think those are called the Micromasters. Either way, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, and this is all he is. There's not too much to him, but I like that you get him. At first I was kind of thinking, hey, is this a headmaster? But no, he's not. He's just another guy that comes with him. Transform him back. And let's put these little guys inside of the shipping vehicles here, and we'll look at those again later. So with that out of the way, next we have this piece, which is a ramp, which is only really useful in one mode that we'll get to later. And this piece here, which is also only really useful in one mode, but it can go on his back right now. What's supposed to happen is that this piece right here is supposed to just plug onto his back like this. But what I actually do is I plug it in up here like this, and that allows me to plug on this ramp bit right here, so I'll never lose it. Because normally if you plug this in upside down, then there's no room for this to fold up in any kind of decent way, and it just has to be an extra piece off to the side. And then you can either put his guns in his hands, which looks exactly like you would expect, or what I tend to do is, because this ramp will flop a little bit, I tend to plug the guns right here, and then I angle them in so they sandwich around the ramp so it's not going to flop. That's just what I tend to do. And that handles all the extra parts very cleanly and nicely, so you're just not going to lose any of them, because you do need them for a later mode. And then anyway, now we move on to the actual Sky Garry figure itself. Unfortunately, he has a unileg that's blocked together like this. He still looks nice, especially his chest. Like, I love the stickers out here that continue out this detail. But with what he does in vehicle mode, it makes sense why his legs are like this, especially because this figure is, the design is really old. It's from the late 80s or early 90s. So the only articulation you really get with this guy is his arms can go around 360, and listen to that wonderful ratchet. His arms go in and out, and then he has a curling iron elbow right here. I suppose you can also move his wrist in like that, but I don't think you'll get much use out of that. And that's basically Garrigun in his robot mode. Now, transform him is fairly simple. We'll be going to his base mode next. So to do that, we'll be taking off this and this. We'll leave the ramp on, and we'll take this off. So then we'll come up here, we'll fold this up, we'll fold this around like this. We will fold the arms around like this, bring them up like this, and out to the side. Like that. Come to the front. Or the back, we'll extend out the legs like that. Then we'll open this up, And that will give us a place to put this right here. And then you can put the guns in here and up here. Like this. And then we need to bring in the carrying trucks again. And if you take these guys out, you can put them into the places right here. And up here, so they're like controlling the guns. And then you can take one of these and it will tab into the ramp down here like this. It just clips onto this section right here. Although it is kind of hard to get it on. And got that done. And then you take the other ramps and you plug them onto the sides right here. And all I'm doing is there is a tab on the end right there. And there's a hole right there. So I'm just plugging those on there. And this is Death Garrigun's base mode. And for base mode, it's not bad. It has the tower, has the guns, has the little guys. It has a nice triangular shape at the bottom. And then I like what they did with these boxings, because now they're entrances to other parts of the base, which is neat. And I've never been a super big fan of these kinds of base modes, but I do realize that if I had like a ton of these things, like if I had Triptychon and this guy and Metroplex or Fortress Maximus, and I had them all together, then they're more like buildings than actual cities. So they're not city modes, they're building modes, and I can see having a lot of them being really neat together, especially if you have a lot of little guys like this to play with them, like the Micromasters. Anyway, moving on to his vehicle mode, we'll pop this off. We'll put the guys back in their containers. Pop this off. And then what we'll do is we'll return the extra parts to the same configuration I showed you before, because that will work for the vehicle mode too. So pop this in, pop this in, pop this in, pop this in, pop the arms in like that, fold these skids down, collapse his body like this, bring this up, and bring these skids down like this. And this is Death Garrigun's vehicle mode, and it is a fairly simple vehicle mode, and the surprise of what it does is actually a little bit spoiled by the base mode. But what happens is this vehicle mode is a bit more complex than it seems, because it splits open like this, and then this will open as a claw. And what can happen is you can take one or more of these trucks and you can plug it in there, and then you'll bring, if it doesn't fall off, it's not the most sturdy connection of all time, but plug that in, and then you can bring this closer, and the what happens is that there is a tab and a hole right there, that a tab here and the hole right there will connect to on both sides, and that will sturdy up the connection. So you can have them carry one box around, or you press this button to release whatever it is, or you can plug all of these together like this, plug them all under here, if I can get it lined up. There we go, it wasn't pulled all the way out. So then you can connect all of them under here. And this is actually kind of an impressive spaceship mode, because it's a neat gimmick. I like what the gimmick is. If I can get this, it's not quite wanting to peg in. You have to get everything lined up just right for it to work, which is, it can be very annoying. There we go. Anyway, this is the ship mode all decked out with its loadout. And I like this gimmick. It's neat. It's interesting, and it makes the vehicle mode much more separated from its robot mode than it would be without this. And I don't know, it's just kind of neat. It's for the age of the figure, it's a neat gimmick. It justifies some of the suckiness of the transformation, and it makes it look different. So it's from the robot mode quite a bit. So it's neat how it does this. I wish that the actual vehicles here could do more, because like they have these buttons that don't do anything, which is kind of a shame. So it's not the perfect figure of all time, but for getting a robot mode that I think looks really good, a base mode which isn't my cup of tea, but it is a neat base mode, and then you get a normal ship that can then expand out like this, which is really cool. I love how it just shinks out. And then you can use these things as carrying pods. I think that's just really neat how much there is to this figure for the age of the figure, because some G1 figures just don't do much. So, oh yeah, this has been my video review of Death Garrigun. It's not for everyone, definitely, but if you're into the to some older G1 designs like this, or some of the Brave designs, then I certainly do recommend this figure. Anyway, I review Transformers, Power Rangers, Brave figures, Digimon, Tobots, lots of stuff like that. If any of that sounds interesting, please subscribe. We got some links in the video description down below of Facebook and some playlists. Check those out, and thank you for watching.